Everyone, and welcome back to the Digital Nomad World weekly series. I'm Becky, and I'll be your host. And today we've got another amazing digital nomad event for you. We're going to learn more about it. It's in its very first year, and it's called Nomads and Wonderlands with co-founder Camille Poiré. Camille, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Becky. Thanks for having me again. I guess I'm glad to be back and talk to you about something I'm really excited about. By the way, I'm the only founder. I don't have a co-founder. I have co-hosts, but it's my
Oh my
baby.
goodness. Okay. Oh, well, yes, thank you for pointing that out. I know that you have some help there, but I'm really glad to hear that this was your idea, and I want to hear more about this experience. But first of all, could you share a bit about your background and how you started and got to the point of starting Nomads and Wonderlands?
Sure. I'll try to keep it short. It's quite a long journey because I've been a digital nomad now for I think I'm in my 12th year. So basically, I'm sure you can hear it, but I'm originally from France. I moved out of France when I was 18. I went to live in for I think about 9 years. I studied there. I started working there, and then I had a great setup there, a good job, everything going well. And then I felt like something wasn't quite right, something was missing. So I quit everything, my job, left my apartment that I was renting at the time, and I decided to go on a one-way trip around the world. So that's how I started traveling. When I came back from that trip, I realized I didn't want to stop. I didn't want to go back to my old life. So I found ways to keep going, and it's now been yeah, 12 years. I've spent longer stretches of time in places like Korea, where I lived for almost a year, in Colombia, in Thailand. Um, then about 8 years ago, I met my boyfriend, my partner, who you know, and since then we've been traveling together. And I guess our status maybe changed a little bit a few years ago because we bought a home together to serve as a base in Bansko, Bulgaria. So we are now nomads with a home. I still see myself as a nomad because we still travel a lot. Actually, this year or last year in 2024 we were only home for I think 3 or 4 months, and the rest of the time we were just going around the world. Um, and I guess what happened is that after so many years of nomading, traveling. Um, I realized I wanted to do more. I wanted something more, and also that I'm really passionate about people, and people knowing their stories, whether it's other nomads or the people you meet on your travels, the locals at destinations. And so this is why I decided to create Nomads in Wonderlands to bring other nomads to destinations that I like or that I think are interesting, and create connections there.
That is fantastic. And as you said, you've got 12 years of experience now traveling around, finding your favorite places. And by the way, I think it's a great time to mention, as Camille already said, this is not her first time on the show. And we do have an interview with us where we talk about setting up a home base while you're also a digital nomad. And we're going to put a link to that. So, as you said, you spent 3 to 4 months in your home base. But I think as you travel, yeah, you start to feel like if you love people, like you said, you really want to connect with people, and traveling and experiencing things together is
Yeah,
it's such a powerful experience. So
definitely. And I
how
would
would
say
you
in my
say,
car- in my career as well. Sorry, Becky. I'm also at a point where I'm more interested in mentoring, and passing on my knowledge of the nomad lifestyle, of working remotely, of my skills in marketing, sales. So I'm more interested in that than focusing on my own ambition and going up the career ladder. So that's why it makes sense for me um, to create this kind of event.
yeah, I think so. And I know also because we've met at a lot of different conferences for nomads, different events around the world. And I know you've picked up a lot of different, experiences and information from those. So I want to know, how is Nomads and Wonderlands different from those other things you've experienced in the nomad world?
Yeah. So I would say the first thing is our choice of destinations. I'm trying to choose destinations that are a little less obvious. It would be really easy to do events in Bali or Chiang Mai in the hotspots, the established hotspots, but I feel like there's already so much going on there. I'm more interested in bringing nomads to places that are either maybe seem less accessible, or where you can go as a nomad but you won't have there isn't really the infrastructure or the community there to not be too lonely or not have to worry about whether you're going to be able to work in good conditions, for example. So this is why our first event was in Cambodia, actually in Siem Reap. And it's a destination that is kind of just a small detour from the usual, nomad winter trail of going to Bali, Chiang Mai, Vietnam. It's just a little way off that trail, but it's a destination that I think, has potential, and where also I think the country hasn't recovered fully from the drop in tourism post-pandemic. So I also want to bring more people there to discover it. And with Antalya, it's a bit different, but Antalya is where our next event is going to be in Turkey. I have a friend there who opened a really great co-working space, and he started building an amazing community there. Um, but I think it's still a little bit under the radar among nomads. So I really want to spread the word within the nomad community and establish it as a destination, because I think it's a great compromise between Europe and Asia, and especially a perfect destination for springtime, which is when we're going to have our event there.
Yeah, and I want to mention,
That's
right. Oh, go ahead.
yeah.
Yeah. I want to
That's the first difference. Go ahead, babe.
Okay. Oh, I just want to mention here that for those Americans listening or watching who have been to Turkey before, if you're not aware, Turkey dropped the visa requirement for Americans at the beginning of 2024. So now it's just as easy to fly to Turkey, except for getting stamped in. It's not in the Schengen zone, but it's really easy to get 90 days as an American. Just go in because we used to have to apply online, and it was a bit for me like, do I want to go there? But
Mhm.
now it's easy.
Yeah, great point. Yeah. Yeah. The second thing I would say is that it's kind of like the pace of our events. I realized that some other conferences, festivals, events, I mean, they're really exciting and there's a lot going on. But I know I heard friends' feedback that they can be really draining as well. They can be stressful actually, because often you have this conflict of you need to work, you still have your job, or your business that you need to run, and at the same time you have all this really jam-packed program and you want to do everything, so you end up getting really intense FOMO, and getting overwhelmed, and sometimes you have to either miss out on activities you really want to join, or your work is gonna suffer. So that's one thing that we really want to try to minimize in our events. So we are building a much more relaxed program. I'm not a fan either of really, prescriptive schedules where it's like, and very tight schedules where it's like 8 a.m. we do this, 9 a.m. we do this. Even myself as a traveler, I don't really like to plan more than one or two activities, like bigger activities a day. Otherwise, I just get really tired and I just lose my enthusiasm for visiting or seeing things. So I'm really trying to apply that philosophy of making this a more easygoing experience. Um, and another side to that is making the schedule flexible. So as I said, we don't have a full schedule where there is something planned every minute of the day. We also build in time for work to be productive, and also time for just relaxing, chilling, recovering from doing activities. And um, a feature of that is that for example, for the event in Cambodia, we actually polled the participants beforehand and asked them about their workload, their work hours, what time zone they're working in, um, and also their preferences, what they were interested in. And then we build the schedule based on their input. And we also keep the schedule flexible throughout the event because I also think that some of the best things that happen, they come spontaneously. So we want to leave some room for that, for those spontaneous changes of plans, additions to the plan. And finally, I would say it's a co-created event. I don't see it as, you come to my event and I'm gonna tell you what we're doing and it's all about me. It's mostly about the participants. I want them to build the program with us. And everyone who comes usually has some skill, knowledge, or interest to share. And we really want to encourage everyone to contribute to the event.
Love to hear. Did you have any examples of that happened in CM Rep? Was there some kind of spontaneous, like an activity was brought by one of the participants, something like that?
Many, yes, of course, yeah, yeah, a ton. Yeah, we had, people who wanted to do a pottery class, for example. So we did that. I mean, we asked if anyone else wanted to join, and we did a jewelry class that was also a last minute addition. And also another really interesting thing that happened is that when I got to Siem Reap, I actually I had the owners of a new co-working space in town reach out to me. So they heard about us and our upcoming event from a friend of ours who had been to Siem Reap just before and had met them. And we ended up deciding kind of spontaneously to create um, a conference day together. So we had a day, we used their co-working space as a venue and we built a mini conference slash unconference. It's just great. We had only 1 week to put something together, but we ended up having great talks, a networking lunch, and some unconference sessions.
Really cool. Do you have like a maximum number of people that you're allowing into your event or to your experience?
It really depends. Each event is different. So for the one in Cambodia, it was a co-living retreat. So we booked a villa. So of course we were limited by the capacity of the accommodation. So we were 12. The one in Antalya is a very different setup. Um, we could talk about it more if you want later, but we have a bigger capacity because it doesn't depend on accommodation. So we can have, I would say, we could have about 40 people maximum because we are doing this in partnership with Co-working Antalya, and I think 40 would really be the cap for, to make sure that the co-working space is not overcrowded and that everyone can work there in good conditions.
Yeah, from what I've heard, like there are, normal every week to week members at Coworking
Yeah,
Antalya, and then
that's
we're
why.
gonna,
Yeah,
yeah, be
yeah.
joining that. So I'm also going to be going to this experience of yours, and I'm excited to enjoy it. But I have already booked an Airbnb. As you said, in this case, there was no co-living where we will all be together, but we have that co-working space as like the focal point.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we're going to have a venue as well, in addition to the co-working space. A beautiful venue up on a cliff with a direct sea view, and in the middle of the old town of Antalya, where we're going to be hosting some of our group workshops, dinners, activities. So really excited for that as well.
Wow. Can you give us a preview of some of the events that you are planning in Antalya?
Yeah, yeah. So in Antalya, the idea is really so it's a bit more of I would say a festival or experience setup. So the idea is to bring an amazing group of people together for a full month. So this is a longer event. It's 1 month, 4 weeks exactly. Um, just as I mentioned, I like to build events with a more relaxed space. So the idea is to um, take our time. We have the full months to discover the area and enjoy our time together without cramming too much in. So we will probably during the week have more time for co-working, to actually get the work done. And in the evenings, we'll have some evening activities. And weekends will be for the bigger activities or excursions, visits. Um, my every event that we do, I think, has three pillars in terms of types of events or activities that we include. The first is exploration. For me, it's really important that we are, just really enjoy discovering a destination. Yeah, to them quite in depth. I don't, yeah, I want our participants to really make the most of the local food, the local culture, the landscapes, the nature, everything that is available in a destination. So we'll have a boat trip, an amazing boat trip. We'll have a hike in a very spectacular canyon. We'll have also a weekend trip to a nearby town called Olympus, which has it's beautiful. It has ruins right on the beach or just by the beach, so we can spend time at the beach and then go explore these old ruins. And it also has this very unique phenomenon in the mountains there. There's this area where there are these natural flames that are burning. So they're called the eternal flames because they're just caused by, I don't actually remember how it works, but but they're always there, right? And yeah, it's just a very unique thing to experience. So that's the first part is exploring. The second one is kind of the work slash growth aspect, which includes actually working, but also professional and personal development. So we like to start every event pretty early on in the program doing a mastermind because I feel that that really helps people get to know each other and what everyone does. And it sparks usually some ideas and, topics for further conversations throughout the event. Um, so that's one pillar of our events, starting with the mastermind, and then there will be workshops, there will be skill shares, but also on the more personal development side, we'll have activities like yoga, ice bath, fitness sessions. I will volunteer my boyfriend to organize heat sessions for us. So yeah, all these kinds of activities to just kind of like develop your mindset as well as taking care of the physical and the mind, the mental.
Yeah, it sounds. I've been to a lot of these conferences with nomads around the world, and you always got to throw it a nice bath. That's the
Yeah, I have to do
something
an
that
ice
comes.
bath. I love ice baths. I love ice baths. I want to share the love. Yeah, and then the third aspect actually is I would call it play or just enjoyment. We also want to make time for just relaxing and having fun together. So we're planning some group dinners. I like to call them family dinners or family meals in general. It might not always be dinners because one thing that Turkey is famous for is incredible breakfast. So we'll also have family breakfasts. And then, we can do cocktail nights, Friday drinks. One of the things that was really popular at our event in Cambodia is that we did a Friday afternoon pool party with cocktails. And that was just so much fun. So that kind of thing. And going to the beach in Antalya, picnics at the beach, volleyball. We can do beach volleyball for anyone who is sporty and wants to get involved in that. So yeah, we have a lot of things in store.
It sounds amazing. I can't wait personally, and it sounds like there's room for a good group of people. So I'm assuming just like a lot of events, like your pricing for Antalya is including all the things you said, but it's not including your accommodation or your flights, obviously, because in this case we are needing to find our accommodation around, I guess, co-working in
Yeah,
Antalya would be the best spot to check and yeah, stay
yeah,
around.
that's right. That's right. So we've been experimenting. I mean, in our first year with Nomads in Wonderlands, I want to try different formats of events. So that's why the two that we have so far in 2025 are very different, right? One was the co-living retreat in a villa for 10 days in Cambodia. And Antalya is 1 month, a 1 month experience without including the accommodation. The idea there is that for 1 month, we felt that it would be better to leave it up to the participants to choose their accommodation, depending on, their preferences, their budget, and because we wanted to have a bigger capacity as well. I think we would have been limited if we did it as a co-living. Um, but what we do is that we have some partnerships as well with local landlords and accommodation providers. So once you sign up for the event, we can help you find either private or shared accommodation. And we also have a group for the participants that's already going. Where, for example, if you find an Airbnb that you want to share, you can also look for flatmates or housemates in the group. So we are helping with finding accommodation.
Awesome. I want to ask you, and this might be a hard question. Of all the events that you've experienced with digital nomads, is there any event or a couple of events, like activity wise, that really stood out to you as something that really bonds people together the most? For me, I could say like when I was on Nomad Cruise, having these evening dinners, these group dinners with
Hmm.
only 8 to 10 people that was
Yeah.
around a topic that always like drew new people each evening and yeah just really we really got to sharing but what have you found in your
Yeah.
experience?
Yeah. Actually, that's funny because I was also going to give that as an example. Obviously, in my 12 years as a nomad, I've attended a lot of events. And I've also been a community manager for some events, not my own, but that's what I was doing the last couple of years. I had a few experiences as a community manager, which is one of the things that also made me realize I love doing this, and I'm good at this, or I can do this. So I wanted to take it to the next level. Um, I find that I've realized that the events that I enjoy the most are the ones that are not too kind of top down. That's how I like to describe it, in the sense that you're more passive. You're kind of a passive participant. Or you're an attendee, where it's just talks and you're just listening to speakers and you're receiving information. I prefer the events where you're active, you're actively participating. And so any kind of activity that is more based on exchange, whether it's those kind of let's call them roundtable dinners, maybe because you're having a roundtable discussion over dinner on Nomad Cruise, or unconference sessions. They're absolutely my favorite part of Nomad festivals, where anyone can come and pitch a topic that they either know about or they want to know more about. And then you have a more informal presentation or conversation about it. This is what I enjoy. So these are the formats that I want to really emphasize. Masterminds, as I've mentioned. I mean, I basically finally decided to go ahead with building Nomads in Wonderlands as a result of a mastermind I had at an event in Romania last year. Um, so yeah, that's the kind of thing that can come out of those events and those types of activities where you're collaborating with others, you're sharing, and you're learning from each other.
Yeah, there's nothing more powerful than getting together physically And I think this is going to be more and more the case as we continue to get into a
Yeah.
digital era with work as well. So, yeah, so
Yes.
excited about this. So, what day does the Antalya event begin?
Yep. So it's starting on the 29th of March and running for exactly 4 weeks until the 26th of April.
All right. So if you haven't been to Turkey, it's as I mentioned, it's getting even easier to access Turkey, and it will be so easy to get to Antalya and have this group of people waiting to meet you.
Yes. Yeah. And we have already about 20 participants confirmed. So that's great from all different backgrounds and with different occupations. So a very interesting group is shaping up. Actually, we just got 2 new signups about 5 minutes before I hopped onto this interview. So very good news. But yeah, we can have up to 40, as I mentioned. I think about 30 would be the sweet spot, maybe for this first edition. So there is still room for anyone who wants to join us and be part of this experience with us.
Great. And we're also going to put a second link. We did an interview with the founder of the co-working space in Antalya, whose name is Alex. So you're going to get a full picture of who the people that you will meet as
Yeah.
you decide to embark on this. So Camille, is there anything else you would like to share with us before you go, including where people can find more information about this?
Yeah. Yes. So first of all, you can check us out on our website, nomadsinwonderlands.com. Don't forget the S in Wonderlands. I know a lot of people think it's Wonderland, and the reason I used to be Camille in Wonderlands as a travel blogger, and the reason that I always include the S is because I think there are many Wonderlands around the world, and every event that we create is taking you to a different Wonderland. So nomadsinwonderlands.com. We also have a very new Instagram account. I literally started it like 10 days ago. So it's not the biggest yet, but we already have really amazing content showcasing our first event. And it's at Nomads in Wonderland. So easy, same. And I wanted to mention as well that we are very happy to give a discount to anyone who watches this or listens to this podcast and is interested in joining us. So just mention Digital Nomad World, or mention that you saw this podcast, and we'll give you a 45 € discount on the current price for the event. And finally, beyond Antalya in April, we're planning more events. So keep an eye out as well for future destinations, future events. I don't know what it's going to be yet. I have many ideas in mind. I'm a little bit right now overwhelmed by all the options. But yeah, I have some very cool plans or ideas. So hopefully can make some of this happen in the coming months and years.
Oh, wow, can't wait. Like you said, there's many Wonderlands out there in the world.
Exactly. Too many.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Camille, for creating this new chance for people to have a whole new experience. And I hope you have a great success in Antalya and beyond, and a wonderful day as well.
Thanks, Becky. You too. Thank you
Thank
for having
you.
me.
Thank you for joining us.